this video, I'm going to be rating and improving you guys' teams here in NBA 2K23 Myteam. And as usual, if you want to be featured in the next video, follow me on Twitter at GrimFateYT. And go ahead and look out for my next tweet that I'll be putting out in the next couple of days. If you want to be featured in the next video, just go ahead and reply to it. Make sure you have notifications on my Twitter so you don't miss out on it. And let's get straight into it. Before we do, though, make sure to go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And let's get to the first team here. The first team here is going to be by Martinez. And let's see what he has. He has 65,000 MT. He's got Endgame Curry, Ray Allen, Bobo, Kristaps, and Yao Ming. The main thing I would say with this starting lineup is to switch out Ray Allen for T-Mac. I can see him on your bench. I personally do think that the T-Mac card is better than Ray Allen, but that's just me personally. If you are better with the Ray Allen, then keep him there, but I think that the T-Mac is better. And then I think your starting lineup would be really good from there. LaMelo's great. And then you'd have Ray off your bench with Garnett, D-Rob, and Ralph. Very good team. The main thing I would say is that out of position Jokic down there right here, I don't know why he's not either start. I would personally start him on this team and bring Curry off the bench. So if you want to know my opinion, I would start Jokic, put T-Mac at the shooting guard, and bring Curry off the bench, and then either get rid of LaMelo completely or do something like that. And that's what I would do personally to make this team a lot better. But let's go ahead and move into the next team by Dylan B. He has Jokic, Jonathan Bender, Bobo, Embiid, and Yao Ming. A lot of height, a lot of defense in this starting lineup, which is very good to see. From there, he's got Doug Christie, Endgame Kevin Durant, Pokashevsky, Varejao, and Wembanyama. And right away, I'm just wondering why you're not starting Kevin Durant over Jonathan Bender. Jonathan Bender is definitely very good at that shooting guard spot. Trust me, he's a great budget option, and I had him in my video from earlier, but I don't know why you have him over Durant. Durant is definitely much better than him, so I would put him at the starting shooting guard, bring Bender off the bench. I would look to improve that backup small forward. I'm not the biggest fan of that Pokashevsky card. I would go ahead and pick up Tim Thomas for about 4,000 MT. That's an easy and cheap option right there. Doug Christie is a good card and all, but I'd just be looking for more of a tall point guard off the bench. And you do have a couple 100,000 MT. I would look to pick up somebody like a Luka or a Jimmy Butler, 6'7" endgame point guard. Can't go wrong with that off the bench. Would be very, very good. And the rest of it looks pretty solid all in all. Let's move into the next team here by Lucius. He's got 400,000 MT. He's going to be running Luka Doncic, Paul George, Chet Holmgren, Nikola Jokic, and Joel Embiid. The main thing I'm going to tell you right now is to go ahead and improve your shooting guard and your center spots. Even Jokic is a little bit undersized for the power forward at this point in the year, but you could get away with it possibly. But it says you have 400,000 MT. All right, so then you've got a lot of improvements to make then. The first thing I would say is, yes, that Chet Holmgren is very good, and that's the main card I would keep in the starting lineup. Everyone else in that starting lineup might as well you just throw in the trash. Look to pick up a dark matter Yao Ming for about 40,000 MT as your starting center. Move Jokic to the bench as your backup power forward, and at your starting power forward, I would pick up Pink Diamond Taco Fall. He's going to be going for about, I think, 30 to 40,000 MT. So at that point, you're about 80,000 in for your two bigs. From there, I would honestly, I mean, if you have 400K, which would mean you still have over 300K left over from those other cards I said, I would look to get, honestly, I would consider getting the end game Nikola Jokic card, the point guard, or the Ben Simmons. They're basically going to be the same card. They're both 6'11" point guards, and you can probably get one of those with the leftover 300,000 MT that you have, and then even pick up a Radiant T-Mac for about 10K as your shooting guard. You can revamp your entire team exactly as I just said for 400,000 MT, and your team would be absolutely stacked. So go ahead and, if you really want your team to be good, go ahead and do those things I said. For the Turbo guy, let's see what he has here. He's got Hero Jordan. He's got Endgame Kevin Durant. He's got Invincible T-Mac, D-Rob, and then he has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Honestly, a really good starting lineup. The thing I would say is to swap out Kareem for Yao Ming. Even though Kareem obviously is going to have better animations and stats and things of that nature, you're going to want that 7'6" card at the center instead of a 7'2". So bring Kareem off the bench. He'll be great off the bench. And then have Yao Ming as a starting lineup. And then honestly, with 50,000 MT, as I can see that you have in the top right corner, I would get out of position your point guard Jokic as your point guard, and bring MJ off the bench, get rid of Penny Hardaway completely, and then even get either Radiant T-Mac or Interdimensional Bobo as your backup shooting guard instead of Luka Doncic. And then the Blake Griffin and the Ngoskas are good where they are. And if you do what I said right there, I think your team will definitely improve a lot for not that much MT. Next team is going to be here by Sylvans. And this dude has got the end game, all money spent lineup. Yeah, man, I don't know what to say here. You've got Nikola Jokic, Paul George, Victor Wembanyama, Bobo, and Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, if you really want me to be critical, bro, go ahead and get a taller center. I mean, if you really want to be a part of this video right here, I would say to go ahead and sell your Wilt Chamberlain and also sell either Dirk or Magic. I would probably sell Dirk. Sell Dirk and Wilt. And with the MT you get from those two, pick up either Taco or Yao Ming as your starting center. If you really want your team to be improved, I think that would actually make your team a lot better to have a 7-6 center. So if you just sell either Dirk or Magic, and then also Wilt alongside that, and go ahead and get a tall center, I think your team would be a lot better, bro. But it's still obviously a stacks team nevertheless. All right, this dude has got to be capping. He says he has 1,000 MT. He's selling Wemby and all the bench to get over 1 million. I mean, yeah, you have the best team in the game. You have every endgame card that I can think of. There's nothing to be improved here. Yeah, man, maybe send me a couple dollars, bro, for my team. Yeah, see, y'all are capping, bro. Isn't this the same team? Oh, wait, no, it's not. You have 700,000 MT left over with 13 endgames on your team. Again, I mean, if you guys send me these teams, there's not much for me to say, bro. Your team is absolutely stacked. You have Taco, Yao, Wemby, KD, Giannis. Yeah, there's nothing I can say. Your team's absolutely stacked. Next team is going to be here by Mikhail. He's going to have the Jokic card at the point guard, Kevin Durant, Wemby, Joel Embiid, and Yao Ming. That's a really elite lineup right there. I think your starting lineup is perfectly good. Then off the bench, you're going to have Cade, Bender, Moses Malone, Ben Wallace, and Bill Russell. And as I can see, you have about 186,000 MT. I would move Bill Russell to your backup power forward and get rid of Ben Wallace completely. And then for your backup center, I would look to pick up a Ralph Sampson Dark Matter card. It's only going to be about 10,000 MT, and it's going to be a nice 7-4 center right there off your bench with Bill at the power forward. The Moses at the 3 would be good, and then keep Bender at the 2. And I would honestly just improve your backup point guard. You have 186,000 MT. You could probably afford somebody like well, you can definitely afford someone like a Luka or a Jimmy Butler off your bench. In terms of the end games for about 100,000 MT, pick one of those up as your backup point guard. Or if you want to improve Bender instead of Cade, pick between either Cade or Bender to get rid of and replace with an end game, and then keep the other one. And that's going to be what you should do. You sent your team twice. So I'm not sure. I rated that one. I don't know why you sent 2 teams. Yeah, I don't know. Let's keep going, though. Space Jesus here. Giannis is all Hall of Fame badges, by the way. And don't worry about telling me to buy players up to, I don't know, 20,000 MT. I will grind forward to spend them. All right, let's see what you got, bro. So you're saying that Giannis has a ton of badges. I don't even see Giannis in your lineup. Oh, there he is down there. Okay. So you've got Endgame Curry, Jonathan Bender, Chet, Taco Fall, and Jokic. So right away, you definitely need to improve that center spot. The Jokic could be, honestly, get rid of the Jokic completely because the Porzingis should be your backup power forward. And then at your starting center, I would grind and get somebody like Ralph Sampson if you're looking for a cheap center. 7'4", he can shoot, he has good animations, and I think he's only about 10 or 15,000 MT. 7'4" center would make your lineup way better. Jokic can just completely be off the team completely. And then you've got Taco, Chet, Bender, and Curry, which I really like that starting lineup, and I think it would be really good. Obviously, the only thing would be if people start abusing your Curry, obviously you can replace him with Jokic, but if not, then you're fine. Off your bench, definitely need a better backup point guard. So again, I would look to pick up out of position Nikola Jokic. You could pick him up for about 10,000 MT. You can either start him over Curry or bring him off the bench over Penny. Either way, he will be great in either of those spots. Then you've got Pau Gasol. You've got Paul George. I would just get rid of the Ben and replace him with the Jokic, like I said. The Pau Gasol is solid. I would get rid of Paul George and replace him with the Radiant T-Mac card. And then you've got Porzingis, who's really good. So, honestly, the rest of the team's really good. Bobo should be in there over Paul George and do the other things I said, and your team will be looking a lot better. Let's go ahead and move into Esteban Casas. He's got 100,000 MT. He's gonna have he's gonna have Jimmy Butler at the point guard, Danny Granger, Bobo, D-Rob, and Yao Ming. That's a really good starting lineup. Danny Granger is very underrated, and that Jimmy Butler is very good as well. So I really like the starting lineup. And I'm not really going to complain about anything there. Then you've got Jokic, T-Mac, Jonathan Bender, Joel Embiid, and Ilgauskas. All in all, you have a very competent team. I think you can beat really any team in the game with that squad that you have right there. But, of course, if there is still ways to improve your lineup, I would honestly say to improve this lineup, I would look to pick up somebody ahead of... I mean, the Danny Granger is really good, so I don't know. I was going to say pick up somebody instead of the Danny Granger, and then move him to the bench, and that's probably what I would do. If you have 100,000 MT, you can probably pick up the endgame Jason Tatum for about 100K, and he's going to be a 6'8" endgame shooting guard. You can bring Granger off the bench and get rid of T-Mac completely or Bender completely, and I think that would be a solid thing that you could do to improve your team. But even if you don't do that, this is a really good team, so you're going to be fine either way. Fikk Riki is back with another team. He's going to have Curry, Kevin Durant, Wemby, Kristaps, and Opal Yao. How much MT do you have? You have 8,000 MT. So if you only have 8,000 MT, I mean, this starting lineup is perfect. Nothing I would improve there. LaMelo, Bender, T-Mac, Verjao, Ralph. I would get rid of LaMelo for out-of-position Jokic, and everything else looks perfectly good. You have a really good lineup. Eventually try to grind and get Dark Matter Yao instead of Opal. It's not that much of a difference, but at this point, any little thing makes your team better because your team's already stacked, so... I think that would be worth doing afterwards as well. Laurie Martinez, he's got Drazen Petrovic, he's got Andrea Karolinko, Wemby, Shaq, and Yao Ming. Very good starting lineup except for Petrovic. Everything else in the starting lineup looks really good, but Petrovic is not good. And I would also swap Karolinko and Tim Thomas. I see you have Tim Thomas on your bench. I would swap Tim Thomas and Karolinko and go ahead and swap those two. And then with 300,000 MT, I would definitely look to get Ben Simmons as your point guard. I'm pretty sure you can afford him with that price. If not, try to get Jokic. Get one of those 2 6'11" endgame point guards as your starting point with all your leftover MT, and your team will be a lot better, and the rest of the team looks pretty solid. Next team is going to be by JC Wisdom Abanala. He's got Curry, LeBron James, Bobo, Wembanyama, and Mark Eaton. That's a really good starting lineup. I'm not going to lie to you. The LeBron is becoming a little bit outdated, though. I won't lie. And then you've got Porzingis, Grady, Ron Artest. Definitely need a better backup point guard. I'll point to Jokic for the millionth time this video. Jokic is a really good backup point guard. Or you could pick up Ben Simmons if you want to. One of those two is your backup point. I would honestly look to get interdimensional Tim Thomas as your starting shooting guard instead of LeBron James and bring LeBron off your bench. Obviously, LeBron is more expensive, but I actually genuinely do think that the interdimensional Tim Thomas is better personally, but that's just me maybe. Then the Wemby and Mark Eaton duo at the 4 and 5 is very good. I would look to get a backup center that's pretty tall, somebody like a Ralph Sampson for only about 10 to 15K, and then pair him with Porzingis off the bench at the bigs, and your team will be very, very solid. Next team is going to be by Twist here, 161,000 MT, looking to replace Cade with an invincible or end game point guard. Well, honestly, I don't know why you have Sean Livingston at your starting point guard, bro. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what you're doing here. When did you send this team? You sent this team a day ago. I mean, Cade is literally better than the Sean Livingston. So I would just right away even just swap Cade and Livingston. But you're saying you don't want Cade. So, I mean, with 161,000 MT... I would look to get, again, I would just look to get an endgame point guard. Look to get Jimmy Butler. He's literally 100,000 MT, 6'7", perfect endgame animations. And then that would be very good alongside T-Mac, Bobo, Taco, and Yao. I think would be a very good starting lineup. And I would just bring Cade off your bench instead of Sean Livingston. I would get rid of Livingston completely. Then you got Bender, Pokachevsky, Ilgauskas, and Porzingis. Really good team all around. I would just look to get like a point guard, point guard Jimmy. We've got some more teams, though. We've got Harris Ramsey. He's got 52,000 MT. He's got out-of-position Jokic, endgame Kevin Durant, interdimensional Bobo, endgame Embiid, and then Yao Ming. Very, very good starting lineup. A lot of length, a lot of height, a lot of defense, scoring, everything. Very good starting lineup. Nothing I can really say there. Off the bench, though, I know that Doug Christie was solid for a while, but, I mean, we're at the point where you really do want to have taller point guards unless it is somebody like endgame Curry. So I would look to replace him with somebody like, I mean, how much MT do you have? 50,000 MT. yeah, I'd look to replace him with the Titans, Ben Simmons. That's going to literally be only about 10,000 MT for him. And then you can have Carmelo, which is very good, Garnett, Porzingis, and Ralph. And the rest of the team looks really, really solid in my opinion. And I think that would be a good way to improve it right there, is to honestly just get a tall point guard. I know he has great animations. I understand that this Doug Christie does have really great animations and stuff. But, I mean, if you're going against anybody that's even semi-good, they can just shoot over you every time with like a 6'10" point guard. And it's going to be a very big liability on defense. The next team is going to be by my boy JP here. And yes, you did make it in time, bro. Let's see what you've got. You've got Sengun, Tim Thomas, Lauri Markkanen, Shaq, and Arvydas Sabonis. I wish I knew how much MT you had, but I'm just going to tell you some budget options to improve your team. Right away, the shooting guard and the small forward both look very solid. I would say I'm just going to go with a bunch of budget options because, again, I don't know how much MT you have. Right away, though, at the center, I'd look to get Ralph Sampson. Again, he's about 10,000 MT, 7'4" center with great animations. The Shaq, again, you don't really want to have a card that can't shoot at the power forward at this point in the year. So I'd look to get somebody like Kristaps Porzingis for about 10 to 15,000 MT, can shoot 7'3", everything good there. At this point in the year, Sengun is pretty outdated. I think Turk off the bench is really good, but Sengun at the starting point is a bit outdated. I would definitely look to get out of position Jokic at the point guard for about 10,000 MT, and with those 3 additions, your starting lineup is going to become 10 times better. And then off your bench, I would definitely keep Hedo Turkoglu, Karolinko, Pokachevsky, Dirk, and Eaton. The bench looks really good. I would just replace the point guard, power forward, and center with the cards that I said, and I think your team will be a lot better, JP. Next team is going to be by Moose here. He's got 10,000 MT. He's going to have Damian Lillard. Right away, you need to get rid of that Dame. I would just swap him with the Curry, Kevin Durant, Pokachevsky, Evan Mobley, and Ralph Sampson. The rest of the starting lineup looks really good. I would get Tim Thomas as your small forward, only 4,000 MT, and bring Pokachevsky to the bench instead of Earl Lloyd. Earl Lloyd is very outdated. I would also look to get rid of the Kawhi Leonard and the Hakeem Olajuwon. The Jokic at the backup power forward is fine. I would look to get guys like there's a lot of things you can do with the bench. You can look to get a point guard, Ben Simmons, off your bench because, again, that Dame is very outdated. You can start Curry, though, or you can get out of position Jokic as your starting point and keep Curry off your bench. For the backup shooting guard, I'd look to go ahead and pick up somebody like a Radiant T-Mac. Like I said, I'd get Tim Thomas for the starting lineup and bring Pokachevsky at the small forward off the bench. Jokic is solid for the power forward off the bench. And then for the center off the bench, I'd look to get somebody like... if you could save up and get somebody like Opal Yao for about 20,000 MT, that would be solid. Next team is going to be by Tibbler here. He swapped T and Luka. Oh, okay. So you've got Jokic, then T-Mac. That's what you're saying at the 2. Then Bobo, Manute, and Yao. Very good starting lineup. Nothing I can say with that. A lot of height, a lot of defense, everything. You only have 12,000 MT, so there's not too much for me to work with here. And obviously you locked in the hero set, so you can't sell any of those cards. But then you're going to have Endgame Curry as your backup point. I would just get rid of Luka completely and run. Wait, can the Tim run the shoot? Yeah, Tim as your backup shooting guard, backup small forward. I would look to get maybe there's a lot of different options. If you just want a 7-foot guy that can play 3 and D, you can get Lauri Markkanen for very cheap. Then you got Taco Fall, Kristaps, and Artis Gilmore. I really do like this team a lot. I would just look to improve that backup small forward, like I said, and bring Tim Thomas to your backup 2, get rid of Luka completely. And at your backup small forward, I can't really think of who I would put there. I would just look to get somebody really solid. I don't know. Interdimensional. Oh, you already have Bobo. So see, it's kind of tough, but you can figure it out. And let's see what other teams we have here. We have Panther with a team right here. This is my team, only have 4,000 MT. You've got Vince, KD, T-Mac, Kristaps, and Ralph. Very good starting lineup. Nothing I can say with that. Except, honestly, I would bring Porzingis to the starting small forward and bring T-Mac off your bench. Get rid of Westbrook completely. Have Curry as your backup point guard. T-Mac as your backup shooting guard. Kristaps starting small forward. And I would get Taco Fall as your starting power forward. And your team will be a lot better. I just rated your team. Then we've got Eddie's World here. He's got Endgame Curry, Invincible LaMelo, Rudy Gay, Steven Adams, and Ralph Sampson. Honestly, starting lineup is not that bad, except for the Steven Adams, who's horrible. You've got a lot of improvements to make off the bench as well. I'd look to get, there's a lot of cards I would look to get at this point. I would look to get Radiant T-Mac as your shooting guard, bring LaMelo off as your point guard off the bench. Get rid of Steven Adams completely at the power forward. You only have 68K. I'd look to get somebody like Porzingis for about 10 to 15K as your starting power forward. And then just grab a couple of guys off the bench. Tim Thomas, you know what I'm saying? Opal Yao. Those are some of the guys I would tell you to get off the bench. Then we've got Tahara, Wemby and KD are unauctionable, 165,000 MT. You've got out of position Jokic, Kevin Durant, Wemby, Embiid, Yao. 10 out of 10 starting lineup. Nothing wrong with it. Amen Thompson's very underrated. I like him. Danny Granger, Chet, Evan Mobley, and Ralph Sampson. Very good team all around. But if I did have to make some improvements, you've got 165K. I would just look to improve your Jokic from the out of position Jokic to the end game Jokic. Grind up some more MT, and you can easily do that. And then go ahead and, I mean, Amen is good, but I mean, off the bench, there might be some other better. No, Amen is really good. I'm not going to lie. The rest of the team looks pretty solid. That's the main thing I would do. Just try to get some end games. 7,000 MT. Yeah, I'd get rid of the Arvydas Sabonis, though. With 7K, I'd just get Ralph Sampson as your starting center. Rest of the starting lineup is pretty solid. Maybe I'd swap Ben Simmons for Jokic at the point guard. And then also bring Ben off the bench. Just put Jokic as a starter, Ben off the bench. Doug Christie is decent. Jonathan Isaac. And then go ahead and get like Opal Yao at the center, either off the bench or in the starting lineup. We've got Mamba Diesel with the next team here. He's got Ben Simmons. We've got Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, Shaq, and Yao Ming. Then you got Cade, KG, LeBron, Hakeem, and Dikembe. I would say to go ahead. I mean, the starting lineup is really solid. I'd bring Kobe as your... I'm not going to lie. I would get rid of Kobe. I hate to say it. I would get rid of Kobe. He's a little undersized for the two at this point in the year. I would even get Jonathan Bender. He's only about 5,000 MT as a starting shooting guard instead of Kobe. And then you've got Cade off the bench, who's a good point guard off the bench. Kevin Garnett is a really good shooting guard. I would get rid of LeBron James completely, and I would improve him with Tim Thomas, interdimensional, for only about 4K. Then I would bring Dikembe 1 over to the power forward off the bench, get rid of Hakeem, and then go ahead and pick up Dark Matter Ralph Sampson as the backup center with Dikembe at the 4. McLovin at Macca's has got a team here, 150,000 MT. You've got Cade, Bender, Kevin Durant, Ilgauskas, and Yao. Very good. Backup point guard, get Jokic for sure. Dissinger is very good. Nedelicki is decent. Embiid, and then Mutombo. I would look to... I know I locked in for the Mutombo as well, and I don't want to get rid of him, but it is probably time to get rid of him if you have Embiid as your backup power forward. And I would probably get rid of him with somebody like... I mean, honestly, I would swap Ilgauskas and Embiid. And then have Dikembe as your backup power forward and Ilgauskas as your backup center. And that's it. So if you guys want to be featured in the next video, follow me on Twitter at GrimFateYT. As you guys saw, I went through and used every team that was sent in, and I do that every time. So if you want to be featured in the next video, just follow me at GrimFateYT on Twitter, and I'll be putting out a tweet in the next couple of days rating and improving you guys' teams again. So if you want to be featured, follow me and turn on notifications. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm out of here, boys. Peace out.